G'day Internet, my name is Ben and welcome to my Brix Race 4-inch race frame build. Well, I've got all the parts that I intend on using in this build laid out before me. I thought I'd go through each one with you, open up the box, have a look inside, have a bit of a chat about each one and throw them on the scales to get a bit of an estimation of potential build weight. The reason I'm doing that is I was told to keep this thing tiny. It is a true lightweight screamer by all accounts. So it'll be fun to see what all the components weigh individually and get an estimation and then put myself to the test, see how close I can get to the estimated build weight once I've constructed it. So without any further ado guys, sit back, grab your favourite beverage and come along for the ride. Hopefully you enjoy. Okay friends, I thought I'd start off with all the bits and pieces that weren't in a box. We'll get them out of the way. Not saying they're less important, but it's not as fun as opening up a box. Here we go, an antenna. This isn't the one I'm planning on using for the build. I've had to salvage it off another quad for the build tele estimate. That comes in at 12 grams. For those of you that are viewing in Australia, I guess all I've got to say is Australia Post, and you might understand why I'm missing my antenna. Let's get in with these props. These are DAL 4040 quad blades and he's 3.9. So let's have a look across the board. 3.9 and again and again. Now I find that pretty impressive. I think all of you will agree that props are probably one of the most disposable items we have when it comes down to FPV quads. We go through them quite readily, and for that they must be mass produced in vast numbers, and the fact that these four here are not even 0.1 of a gram apart really goes to show how far along this hobby and the manufacturers are coming with their build process and quality assurance. Very nice to see. I think it's fantastic. Not saying they're balanced, but having them within 0.1 of a gram is a pretty bloody good place to start in terms of having things nice and balanced and being a bit more gentle on your motors. Next part is the standard old XT60 female. We all got to have one of those on. Well, it started at 3.1, went to 3.3, let's call that 3.2. Next part, 5-volt buzzer. Now some power distribution boards or flight controllers do have these. Mine only has a spot to attach one, and I will be attaching one. Even though this is a super lightweight build, I think these are worth their weight in gold, and at 1.6 grams I am happy to pay that weight on my little racing quad. Simply being I am an average pilot at best. I'm probably below average, meaning I crash a lot. And not good crashes where I've done something amazing and I'm trying some absolutely amazing acrobatics. I just crash. That's what I do. I flip, I roll, I tumble, I do all that fun stuff. And I end up in trees and I end up in long grass. Now having this little buzzer on there just allows me to flick the switch and she'll start singing out to me and give me at least a direction to walk towards so I can locate my quad a little bit, because it's pretty heartbreaking to lose one. So definitely worth the 1.6 grams I think, even on a lightweight build. Next is a TPU 1mm soft mount for the motor. Now I'm sure we've all heard the hype behind these little things. Everyone's raving about, well not everyone, but a lot of people are raving about them, a lot of people are trying them. As I said, I am by no stretch of the imagination a decent pilot, so is this going to make a difference for me? I highly doubt it. I'm not even sure I'm going to pop them onto my build just yet. I do have a 3D printer. I like printing bits and pieces up for quads, and I've printed quite a few things for the boys here locally, including some of these. You know, will I do it? I'm not sure yet. We'll get to that. But I'll see if the weight will come up. 0.2 of a gram. So for less than a gram, you know, there is evidence behind it. You can see people's telemetry data and black box data that they've got down, and it does show marked improvements in the way the motors perform. And if you can get a little bit more efficiency in transferring that thrust into actual performance, I mean, for the guys flying at state and national level, probably a good little piece of kit. For me, don't know. And yes, there is only 3 there. I dropped one before. I don't know where it went. They are tiny. Anyway guys, that wraps up these ones. Let's start getting into the boxes. Okay friends, I guess a very appropriate place to start on a build is the frame. So here is the box for my Brix Race 4-inch frame. On top is a list of all the things inside, but that's boring. Let's not go through it, let's just look at it. Right, got a pod, some carbon fibre bits and pieces, a couple of battery straps, Brix Race, nicely branded, and 2. You can only fit 1 on at a time on this, and so 2, you get a spare. Love your work, guys. And the goodie bag, got a power distribution board in there as well. Pretty cool. Alright, let's get the box out of here. Right, let's start with the pod. Turn on this. Now this is pretty nice 3D printed TPU pod. The scary thing for me is that's a 55-degree angle. Now that's hinting that this thing gets pretty angry when it flies. That is a ferocious angle for an FPV camera in my opinion. But as stated before, I'm not the greatest pilot in the world, so yeah, some of you might fly like that. But look, the build quality or the print quality seems to be pretty good. I did spend about 10 minutes just cleaning up some little overhangs and little dribbly bits, but look, I also 3D print for a lot of people, including TPU. It can be a bit of a messy thing and a real mongrel to print, so yeah, it's understandable when you get a little bit of that. So all in all, pretty good build quality. I have emailed the gentleman who has designed these and prints them out. Lovely bloke, has made me aware that they do go down as low as 30 degrees or 35 degrees, which is something I might invest in. Quite a reasonable price for them, especially considering the amount of work you would have had to do to design them. He also mentioned that there is customization work as well for a small fee, so something I might look into later. But great little pod, designed for an HS1177 camera, press fit up through there, and comes out here. What I am worried about is this part here sits flat on the frame. This part, well, there's a little ridge here, that's as high as you can go with whatever you put inside, because you can't fit any more in, because your VTX comes out this hole. So very, very limited for room inside. So it'll be interesting to see how I get everything to fit. But let's pop you on the scales. 18.7 grams. All in all, not too bad. Now, onto the arms and the rest of the body. Doesn't come like this. I put a little bit of paint and a little bit of hard coat on the edges there, just to, you know, customize a little bit and make it look a little bit prettier. Given my flight capabilities, it doesn't last very long, but hey, it's nice. Now this is 4mm arms, and that's rock solid. There's no flex there. You got the top plate and bottom plate. Arms get sandwiched in between. These are where the battery straps go, these holes there and there. Now something I've done to help eliminate tearing battery straps so often is just take to the edges where your strap's going to wrap around. So here and here, just take to it with a little file and round it off, and you'll find that your battery straps, they still will rip, but not as often. Just takes that edge off and doesn't shear through as quickly. So let's pop these onto the scales. 53.1 grams, that's nice and light as well. Right, now we've got the goodie bag here. Lots of little different bits and pieces. I have gone through there and done a dry fit with a lot of it, and you do everything you need is in here, which is a really nice touch. So very well thought through and put together frame, guys. I've got nothing but high praises for this. I'm looking forward to completing the build and letting it rip. But I will weigh all of these inside the bag. Comes in at 28.9. The reason I'm doing that is I just don't feel like balancing everything and trying to put everything back in a little bag later on, and it will give me a little bit of wiggle room because there will be extra solder and wires and heat shrink added onto the build. So it gives me hopefully a realistic expectation once everything's on there. And again, these are race branded, the straps for Brix Race. Nice little touch. 2 of them again, so you get an extra. Fantastic work, guys. Well, that's what's in the box. Yeah, let's crack on with the next one. Well, I guess this is what you call the heart of the build. These are Cobra 1806 2450 kV motors. Now, being such a small frame and hopefully what's going to be such a light build, I think the 1806 is going to have enough balls to really make this thing scream. And 2450 kV I think is going to be more than enough for me in these little 4-inch blades. I'm aware that some of the other guys out there are running the 1806 26 and 2700 kVs. Some of the guys are even running 2206 with the higher kV rating as well. Look, for my capabilities, I think the 1806 2450s are going to be more than enough for me to have a hell of a lot of fun. I was able to pick up another set of 1806 2700 kV motors, but this being a new build, I'd like to have new motors. The ones, the 2700 kVs I picked up are second hand, so new build gets new motors. If I am finding it lacking, I can jump up to the 2750 kVs and give them a crack. Let's turn on the scales, let's have a look inside here. Right, nice tidy little black motor there. Oh, that feels nice. Nice and tight. Let's have a look on the scales. 21 grams. That is quite reasonable. Oh, sorry. 20.9. Right. A little goodie bag, and wow, okay, that's different. Phillips head screws. I don't know if you can pick that up. No, zoom's not working, or focus isn't working. Oh, these are Phillips head screws. I haven't seen those in quad motors before. I will try and find in my own kit some other. Can you see that? Maybe? Not sure. I'll try and find some hex heads because that just makes more sense for me. So let's pop on what I'm going to be using here. 4 of these little dudes. Coming at 3.2. All up, that's not too bad. What's that, about 24 grams per motor? That's a reasonably lightweight build. Alright, let's go find something else to look at. Well, if the motors are the heart, this is, I guess, what you'd call the soul. This is a Full Metal Racing Cocoot F3 flight controller. Now, I do apologise if I've pronounced Cocoot incorrectly. I've heard a few other people pronounce it as Cocoot. I've watched some videos, it said Cocoot. The gentleman at the shop where I purchased this from also said Cocoot, so I'm going with Cocoot. If I am wrong, I do apologise, and I've said Cocoot way too many times already, so I shall refrain from saying it ever again. Anyway, let's get into the box. Get them out. Alright, now have a look at this. This thing is gorgeous. Lovely little red colour. Oh, flip him around. Nice little cutaways here to save a bit of weight. I love that. Another really cool feature. You probably can't see it on this camera because the focus is absolutely horrible. Up to 6 motors supported it's got there. Motor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. That's pretty awesome. Bootloader button because that makes life a little bit better. Micro USB input for when you need to have a chat to your computer. Now I will confirm this a little bit later on as well, but I think the voltage input you should almost be able to run 4S straight into this, which I don't advise, but it is nice that you can run fairly strong current instead of having to find a little 5-volt power somewhere, or find room on your power distribution board to get these at some of the smaller levels on other flight controllers I've used. So that's also pretty cool. From a little bit of reading I've read into this, was the gyro is also pretty awesome. I forgot the name of it, but the gyro on this is apparently a lot nicer than some of the previous models of previous flight controllers out, keeping in mind that this has been out for maybe a year or so now. So yeah, others have probably caught up or superseded it, but for my flight capabilities I think this is going to be far more than sufficient. Let's pop it on the scales. And a measly 4.6 grams. That's nice and light, owing to some of those cutouts. Anyway guys, let's have a look what else I can go through. Well, we've seen the heart and the soul of a quad racer. I guess this is the brain. This is the X-Racer Quadrant 25 amp ESC. This is a 4 to 6S ESC, although the literature on it does say it can run on 3S, which is kind of good because that's all I've got on batteries at the moment, but I am hoping to get some more 4S in shortly and absolutely scream with them. Now, these are awesome. If you have a look here, they're nice, quite tiny, but wait, there's a hole in each corner. Why is that? Well, let's get this foam out and have a look. Well, if you smush them together, you get a modular 4-in-1 ESC. Now that is fantastic. I've seen many people complain online and on forums about 4-in-1 ESCs. When you lose one ESC, you've got to desolder everything, take it off, buy a new one, and resolder everything, pop it back in before you can fly again. Whereas this You desolder off one board, off these points, take him out, pick up a spare, and drop him straight back in, resolder, and away you go. It's a much faster process. Also, they are reversible, so if you burn this one out, pop him in there. If you're this one, flip him over. Such an awesome little design. Now, I was originally hoping to have these on the arms of my quad, simply due to the fact of the limited room inside. When you saw that pod, there was not much room in there, and it's going to be a tight build. But when I get the arm out, you get one of these bad boys, that's not going to work. So I am going to turn them into a 4-in-1, and it's going to be a very, very interesting process trying to fit that inside that pod. But looking forward to it. A little bit worried about the heat generated in there, but as I mentioned, the gentleman that designs that pod has said he can do custom work, and being that I live in the tropics, I might get him to design me up a pod with a couple of little holes in there to pick up a bit of wind, just to throw some air over there as a cooling effect. Anyway, we'll pop him on the scales and move on. 2.4 grams, 2.5, sorry. That is phenomenal. That is, what's that? That's 10 grams across the whole ESCs. Granted, there's going to be a bit of solder and a little bit of wire added, but that's great. That's super lightweight, and I can't wait to try these things out. So anyway, on to the next part. Well, keeping on the body parts theme, I guess this is what you call the eyes of a FPV quad. And being an FPV quad, we do need a camera. This camera today is a Runcam Swift 2. Some cool things about this, it does have IR block. Now, is that going to make a difference? I don't know. People say it's great. I'll find out soon enough. Another interesting thing about this is it can take 5 up to 36 volt power input, which gives you a lot of different options. It does have a 2.5mm lens, and does come in hideously bright orange, which is not going to be that much of a problem for me. As mentioned before, this pod is designed to have the camera fit just up inside there, so you're not going to see it. All you're going to see is this little lens popping out there. That's probably going to get destroyed on my first crash, but that's neither here or there. I can fix that. Does come with another frame here that you can fit on this little mount. So if you're mounting onto a larger quad or onto a plane or something, it gives you more mounting options. Mounting hardware and a little Allen key for it. Also comes with a little remote control, which helps you to set up your OSD, which is the coolest feature of this. OSD. Love having OSDs on my camera, on my quad, sorry. Just helps me keep an eye on what my battery's doing. Some people like to have them programmed through the radio. I find OSD for monitoring my battery far better. It's just personal taste. So, great little camera, really looking forward to trying it. You don't hear anything bad about these Runcam Swift 2s, everyone seems to like them. So, thought I'd give this one a go and see how we go. Popping on the scales for the weight, we are looking at 12.9 grams. Alright, let's move on. So much for the body part theme. I have no idea what part this would be, so I won't name it. But what we have is a Foxeer TM25 switcher. It's a 5.8 gig video transmitter. Fantastic little unit. I'm sure everyone has at least seen one, if not used one, in their time in this lovely hobby. If you haven't, well worth checking out. Just like the camera, it does have a wide range of voltage input, which is a great asset to have. Does output 5 volts, so you can run your camera off this, because the camera can take 5 volts. So yeah, plug this onto your power distribution board and power the camera from there, and away you go. Look, fantastic little unit. It runs from 25 milliwatt through 200 and 600 power settings. Obviously I will only be using 25 here in Australia, but does have that capability for anyone else around the world if you're interested in slightly more powerful options. Not much else to say about this, so let's get her out and weigh it. Just take this cap off, turn this on. But yeah, I've used these in a few of my builds now and I can't fault them. So 11.1 grams, fantastic. Alright guys, let's have a look for another bit. This little thing sure as hell doesn't need any introduction, does it? So I won't give it one. Well, I better give it one because that's going to make a very boring segment for this video. Guys, in front of me here is the FreeSky or FrSky, depending on which way you like to say it, X4R S-Bus receiver. This thing is awesome. Lots of people love it. I love it. If you have a Tyrannus, if you have, I think the new one's a QX7, or if you have a Horus or any of those other FrSky or FreeSky transmitters, use this in your mini quad or your racing quad. It's good, it's sexy, it's awesome, it does its job. That's all it needs to do. So let's pop you on the scales and move on. .6.4 grams, nice and light. And we're back again in front of all the bits and pieces. Now, once all these little fellas are combined into the build, we're going to be looking at an estimated total of 275.3 grams. Whether or not I'm going to be able to achieve that during the build process is a completely different story. Speaking of the build process, that will be contained in part 2 of the video, so if you've even mildly enjoyed what you've seen today, please join me in part 2, where one of two things are going to happen. I either create a beautiful, sleek 4-inch race frame that's going to go a million miles an hour, or I will create an evil little monster that creates magical blue smoke of doom. As an added bonus in the video, if the latter does happen, you will be able to hear a grown man sob uncontrollably. So whatever happens, guys, please join me in part 2. Thank you very much for spending your time with me today. Until next time, take care of yourself and goodbye.